Recording in progress. Allora facciamo in questo modo, Benedetta. Iniziamo insieme. Vuoi
Va
dirlo
bene.
a Bianca? Iniziamo insieme una piccola presentazione. Quando poi lei inizia con il PowerPoint, io ti passo nel canale italiano e
Mhm.
lei parla
M-
senza
Ma
ascoltarti.
la presentazione la devo tradurre oppure no?
Sì, sì, certo.
Quindi siamo tutti un po' come faceva Maria
Esatto,
con le
esatto,
rosse.
esatto. Per la
Ok,
presentazione
ok.
sua
E poi?
personale.
Mhm.
Vuoi
Ok.
dirmi questa cosa? Cioè, lei inizia con la sua presentazione della sua
Mhm.
storia personale e poi partiamo con il PowerPoint.
Okay, so Bianca, we'll start all together in the same room, basically, and you will present yourself to the audience, and I will be translating you in consecutive. So every couple of sentences, maybe you stop, and I translate what you say into the other language, and then when you start with with your PowerPoint, I'll be transferring into the booth, and I'll be from then on interpreting in simultaneous interpretation. Okay. Okay, perfect.
Very good.
I think we can
So,
start.
so we can start.
Yes.
Very good. Enjoy. We go live. Are you ready, Bianca?
Ready.
Okay, go.
Are we on? Hello, everyone. My
Good
name.
evening. Good
Sorry.
evening to everyone.
Buonasera a tutti.
Good
Ciao a
evening,
tutti.
everybody. I'm so excited to.
Buonasera a
This is
tutti.
my first webinar. It's nice.
Sono veramente contenta di essere qui. Questo è il primo webinar per me, quindi sono veramente, veramente felice.
So my name is Bianca Festejo. I'm the founder of Nue Conceal. We specialize on skin color correction using our patented technology that reads a skin tone and then it tells you what color to use to make sure you get the perfect match.
Io sono Bianca Festejo, la fondatrice di Nue Conceal. Noi ci concentriamo su interventi di correzione del colore della pelle attraverso una tecnologia che abbiamo brevettato noi, che permette di leggere la colorazione della pelle e trovare il colore perfetto che corrisponda a quel colore. Quindi
So today I'm going to be sharing two kinds of technique. Look at my nails. I don't even have time to fix my nails. Two techniques. One is camouflage tattooing using our patented technology. And the other one is for stretch mark too, but we call it the English stretch mark revision. So in the English stretch mark revision, we don't use any ink. So both treatments are amazing in terms of stretch mark, and I'm very excited to share both this information to all of you.
Ok, oggi vi parlerò di due tecniche. Una è il tatuaggio camouflage usando la nostra tecnologia brevettata e l'altra invece si chiama Inkless Stretch Mark Revision e serve sostanzialmente a coprire le smagliature però senza l'utilizzo di pigmenti. Sono due tecniche bellissime e non vedo l'ora di presentarvele.
So if we're ready, let's begin.
Ok, se siamo pronti possiamo incominciare. Per tutti quelli che vogliono ascoltare in italiano, potete semplicemente scegliere il canale in italiano dove io interpreterò Bianca in simultanea.
Okay.
Ok.
So before I give you the information about how to perform the treatment, I want to first give you a little backstory of how I started and how I got here and how this treatment changed my life. And I hope that it will also change yours if you will give it an opportunity, because it's an incredible treatment. So a couple of years ago, back in 2015, I started my journey in the PMU industry, and I was also one of the participants. And it always amazed me how all the speakers are so knowledgeable and they're called masters. And I'm like, I want to be like them too someday. So, but then I realized the microblading, the ombre brows, the lip tint, it's already there's already a lot of good people performing the treatment. So as I was just starting and I wasn't really that good of an artist, I realized that if I want to be called an expert in something, I have to offer something different, something that is not yet being offered by anyone else. And so instead of focusing on microblading in the brows and the lips, I started looking for other treatment that no one is giving attention to. And that's when I came across camouflage tattooing. So I started really focusing all my energy on it. And it was the best decision I've ever done in my life. So back in 2015, before I became a part of this industry, I actually started in the beauty industry when I opened my first salon. And because of my background in marketing, it became really, really successful. And I opened 6 branches. Like, as you can see, they're all fully packed all the time. And this is the last branch that I had before the pandemic. So we opened this branch right before the pandemic. But unfortunately, all my salons had to shut down because of the pandemic. We didn't get any help from, or we did get some help from the government, but it wasn't enough to sustain the business. And so I was in the verge of bankruptcy back then because no one seemed to be caring about their hair anymore. And no matter what marketing strategy we do, we're really not getting any clients. So I had to shut them down. And I almost went into bankruptcy, and I only had 4,000 euros in my bank account back then. And I was crying. I thought I was going to lose everything. I lost my car. I almost remortgaged my condo, and it was just crazy. Like, I was really in rock bottom at that point. And so I realized, instead of crying, I packed my bags and I'm like, you know what? Let's forget about the salon, cut the losses. It's not going to work anymore. And I thought of like doing something else. And that's when I came across, that's when I realized that a lot of people are messaging me asking if I teach camouflage tattoo. But then I was like, okay, if I'm going to do camouflage tattooing and I'm just going to be offering what everybody's offering, then I'm not going to be different. So I realized that I have to be different by creating my own technology that reads the client skin tone, and then it has like we created an app. So this is the device. Oops, not sure if you can see. This is the device that we use. We put it on the skin, and this one will read the client's skin tone and tell you exactly what color to use. This is a game changer in the industry, because back then you have to have a toilet paper, put the pigments on the toilet paper, and then put it close to the skin. So, and that is the most difficult part in camouflage tattoo, because if you make a mistake with the color, then you cannot do anything to correct it. As probably most of you know, skin tone inks have titanium dioxide, and titanium dioxide, if you make a mistake with that, even if you do laser procedures, it's not going to disappear. It's there. So that is why I had that idea that, hey, maybe we can come up with something that can read the skin tone and give you accurate pigment suggestion. And that's exactly what we focused on. And it was the best decision I've ever done in my life, because after that, I got featured in numerous publications: Entrepreneur Magazine, Forbes Magazine, Cosmopolitan. You basically every publication that we can get, we were very, very happy. And I'm like, I'm doing something right. So now, enough of the backstory. Now the question is, why is skin concealing the next big thing? It is the next big thing because, as most of you know, when microblading started long time ago, and then 2015, 2016, it reached like a hype, like everybody were performing the treatment. So as this treatment is new, back in 2018, nobody was giving attention to this treatment. In fact, all the mentors that I have for PMU, for like microblading and lips, when I ask them about this, they're like, very, very skeptical. Number one, because of the titanium dioxide. Secondly, it's because they think that it's going to have discoloration throughout time. So a lot of people were skeptical. And then also, when you think about stretch mark, the idea of tattooing each individual stretch mark, it just doesn't make sense. It sounded like a lot of work. But then I started to, you know what, I was like, I'm gonna try it out myself and see how it works. And it worked. And it wasn't true that I needed like a long time to do the treatment. In fact, it's the easiest thing you can ever do. It's ridiculously easy. So when I compare it with brows, I felt like brows was harder for me. Of course, for most of you, it's like a walk in the park because you've been doing it for a long time. But when I started with the brows and then I started with the stretch mark, I realized that for me, it was so much easier to do the stretch mark than the brows. So it just made more sense for me to focus all my attention on that one. And again, back in 2018, 2017, 2016, nobody wanted to do this treatment. And now here in the US, almost, especially here in LA, almost in every corner, there's someone offering this treatment. And this year, so we started selling in the US just last year, only last year. And this year, our sales have really radically increased. And this month, we reached double the sales quota that we're trying to accomplish. So that only goes to show that people are really opening up with this treatment. And Europe is not yet very aware of this procedure. And that is why I'm very grateful that I'm here to be able to give you all this information, because it's really the next big thing. So if back in 2018, nobody was like paying attention on this one, 2022, everybody's like, I want it here in the US. So 2023, again, we're seeing a really incline of people that are very, very interested in performing this and offering this in their clinics. So I know 100% that Europe is going to be next. So for those of you who are in this webinar, this is a great opportunity for you to incorporate this in your clinic and be one of the first, be the pioneer. I mean, how many of us wish that we could have learned microblading 10 years ago, right? We would have made so much money. But like with me, I felt like it was a little bit too late for me to start. But here in this skin concealing, it's very new. So you're going to be the pioneer. So you have this opportunity to, in 1 year or 2 years time, you can also like travel the world and be a speaker on this particular treatment, because it's really easy and you can master it in no time. So take advantage of this opportunity. So another good thing is that there are 1 million surgeries are performed in Canada. Sorry, this is supposed to be my presentation for Canada, but imagine just in Canada alone, which is a very small country, they have 1 million surgeries performed every year. So of course it depends on where you're from, but you can just imagine the number of people that are looking for a treatment that can treat or at least conceal their surgery. Up to 1% of the population has vitiligo or any hypopigmentation in their body. And to be honest, there's no treatment that can cure vitiligo yet, but we can. Imagine that. We, PMU artists, we can. 1 out of 20 people have hypopigmentation as well. So you can just imagine how many clients are your potential clients. And the great news is that up to 90% of the adult population has stretch marks. Isn't that mind-blowing? This means that your clientele that comes to your clinic, up to 90% of them are looking for a treatment for their stretch marks. So what stretch marks can we treat? Well, first is the stretch marks. Second, so what things can we treat? I mean, first is the stretch mark, and then we have the scars, and then we have vitiligo or any hypopigmentation. So how do we treat them and how do we make it easy? First, we created a technology to help PMU artists conceal stretch marks and scars by simplifying the skin tone pigmentation to our skin tone reading device. So let me show you how that works. Oh. I'm not sure how I can play a video here. It's not playing for me. So it's not, I don't know why it's not playing for me, but let me show you. So this is the device. And this is the app. So this is the device and this is the app. So I'll just connect the, so if I color match what I'm wearing. Oh, wait. So as you can see, it's a dark shade, right? Now I'm going to put the device on my skin right here and then press it one time. So now it changed the color. And when I scroll down, it will tell you exactly what color to use. So here it says, I need to use pigment number 3. So we have 20 skin tone colors. So from just by using this device, just one tap, the app will tell you exactly what color to use. Okay. Next is, so again, I'm not sure why I'm unable to, let me just fix this real quick. Maybe I can.
Bianca, can I help you?
Yeah, how do I share?
Well, we must stop sharing this PPT file.
Yeah.
So in the
Sorry, it's my first time doing this.
in the top of the screen, the red button. Okay, very good. Now we see you large. Very good. So please share the screen again.
Okay, I'll share the screen.
Share the screen again and choose advanced.
Choose a what?
Advanced, and then in the right you can see video.
Okay.
Before sharing video, please be sure you selected optimize for video clip, the little blue dots in the left of the gray panel you see now. Optimize for video clip in the same panel in the left corner. Very good. Now click share and we should see your video. You must select your file.
Okay, let me. Okay.
Fine. Good.
Is it sharing?
No, not yet. You should click on video. So share advanced video. Oh, maybe.
It's saying it's not. Okay, how do I do this? One more time. Can I just share my screen so I can share my?
Yes, good idea. You can. So instead of advanced, please click on basic or base, or I don't know in your language, in English, base, and in the left corner you see desktop.
Okay, got it.
So you can share your desktop, and please select optimize for video clip in the left corner if you want to share the video. So the streaming is smoother.
Okay.
And then share.
Desktop share.
Please take your time, please. Don't worry about that.
Can you share now?
Okay, now you can close all those panels and find your.
It's asking me to leave webinar. Should I click that or no? Cancel.
You can. Do you want to close this this PowerPoint?
No, I'm going to be showing this PowerPoint. So let me, okay. Are you able to see it now?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So that is how the technology works. It's very easy. You can get the skin color of your client and what pigment to use, and literally as easy as 1, 2, 3. So now here is another sample in action. As you can see, it's black. And then as soon as she pressed, it changed in color. And here you can see how many pigment. It says pigment number 16, 1 drop of pigment number 16, and 2 drops of pigment number 14. So the app will basically tell you exactly how to mix your color and how many drops of each. Once you have the color, you can then test it on your in your client's skin directly to see if it matches. So this is what we call the match testing. It's very simple. You apply some of the pigment into your client's skin and you just stop it. You don't have to like wipe it like this, just stop. Like what we're seeing in the video. And as you can see, perfect shade. So it's like when you're testing, when you go to Sephora or any makeup store, you want to test your foundation, you apply a little bit on the skin and you just spread it out, right? That's what we also do. And the consistency of the pigment is very creamy as well. So it's really good. So here I will show you a video of how I treat stretch scar. In here, I am just doing a tiny circular motion or like a up and down, back and forth, back and forth. It's just like coloring a coloring book. It's very simple. So once you wipe it, what I do is in every session or in every pass, I make sure to wipe it immediately. I want to see if my pigment is already inside, and I will know if it's already inside based on the color of the scar. So the scar will usually turn red and then it will become swollen in a little while. I want to see that equal redness. So as you can see here, it's already starting to blend in. There's a little bit like if you compare it to how it was before, it's already starting to blend in, but it's not yet turning red. So I want the skin to turn a little bit of redness. That means that I was able to really penetrate the skin properly. So every pass, I make sure to wipe it first. And once I see that like this, it's starting to color, then there will be some areas that are still not red or not yet concealed. Then I will go through that area one more time. Then wipe it off. And basically that's it. So here, if you're working on a surgical scar, all you have to do again is to match the color of the skin. Although lightening surgical scar can require more session because it is sometimes really dark. So you can do the treatment on any dark scar as long as it's a surgical scar. But if it's just a scar that's flat and it's any hyperpigmentation, we don't recommend doing the camouflage on them. We only camouflage anything that is lighter than the skin or something that is darker, but only a surgical scar. So as you can see here, I'm creating like tiny little circles, making sure that I penetrate the skin properly. I will also do sometimes the up and down motion, or what we call the mopping motion. It's like when you're mopping something. And then you have to wipe it and see, you can basically see already if the pigment is already entering. You will see a little bit of lighter shade, you will notice that the area that you're treating is becoming lighter. However, we only do this for lighter skin tone. For darker skin tone, let's say Fitzpatrick scale 5 and 6, we don't really recommend doing camouflage tattooing under surgical scar because they are more prone to hyperpigmentation, and doing the treatment on them can cause more damage. It can turn out darker. So just be careful on that. Here is another client. She has, I think she had the mole in the face and she had it taken out, and it caused her to have white spot. So what we're trying to do is, again, to conceal it. I'm using a magnum needle here. So the needle that you will choose will depend on how big the area you want to treat. So if it's big, then you're going to have a bigger needle. So a magnum needle is ideal. The number of, whether it's going to be 7 or 9 or whatever, it depends on how big the area is. For me, I usually stick with 7M1. And then I just adjust my hand movement or my placement of the machine. But again, if you have a client that has just a tiny dot, then you can use like a 1 pin or 3RL. It really depends on how big the area you want to treat is. So here for stretch mark, you can also use a flat needle. So here I am using 7 flat needle. And then I'm creating micro, like tiny circles. Sometimes you can also do like a sweeping motion, like from left to right, like enter the skin and then leave the skin, just going creating a straight line on the stretch mark. You can also do that if you're using a magnum needle. If you're using 7 flat needle or any flat needle, I don't recommend doing like a straight line because sometimes you can see the lines on the side. So if you're using a magnum needle, then it's not a problem. But for me, my favorite go-to hand movement is a tiny circular motion. The idea though is that to make sure you're not making an oval, because the oval can create lines. So you wanna not do that. So here is a needle that we're using, magnum needle. That's my go-to needle. Again, it depends on how big the area you want to treat, how tiny it is. Then you can honestly use any kind of needle. It just really depends on how big the area you want to treat is. So here are some case studies. So this is a work done by one of my trainers from Australia. As you can see, first session, there's a little bit of improvement, but after the second session, it's completely covered up. This is another before and after for a tummy tuck surgical scar. This is done just with 1 session. This is vitiligo. This work is done by one of my trainers. She's from Chicago, and she specialized on really paramedical tattooing for areola and vitiligo too. So I'll be completely honest, vitiligo is the hardest to treat because sometimes the skin is not absorbing the pigment. Sometimes it rejects the pigment. So what I would recommend you do is to do a patch test first. Choose a tiny area of the vitiligo and then do the treatment there. Try to cover it up and wait like a week, wait 2 weeks, and wait a whole month to see if the skin is absorbing the pigment. If not, then you're gonna have to refuse doing the client because it's gonna be a lot of work, but it can be done. Like as you can see here in the picture, she managed to do it, so it can be done. It's just really harder. So this is the before photo of my client that I was doing earlier that I showed you. This is before and this is after. So as you can see, the stretch marks are completely gone, although I can see a little bit of spots. So I still did 1 more session on her. And after that, I didn't see her anymore. She's completely happy and disappeared. So now let's talk about how much you can earn from this treatment. This is the most exciting part. I mean, who's ready to make money? So we charge anywhere between $500 to $2,000 or euros per treatment per area. And this is the amount we charge no matter where my clinic is. I have a clinic in the Philippines, which is a developing country, or some people may say, or like a developing country, which means also like a third world country, which means, you know, it's not rich. It's not as rich as Italy or any part of Europe. It's quite poor. But we're charging still 500 to 2,000 euros. Okay. And the reason why, and the reason why it's expensive is because we're offering something that no one else offers. We're offering a product and a treatment that works for stretch mark that not even dermatologists or doctors or surgeons can treat, right? So we as VMU artists are able to do that for them. So people would pay any amount of money to get rid of their stretch marks and their scars. So just imagine you get the average of that. You have one client a day, that's $1,000 a day, right? Or 1,000 euros a day. 5 days a week, because you're working 5 days a week, the 2 days of the week, of course, you have to rest. So 5 days a week is $5,000. Your annual earning potential by just having one client a day is 260,000 euros annually. This is just having one client a day. That's all you need. One client a day. Even if you're just charging 500 euros, one client a day, that's still a lot of money. So what about those who don't want to be inked? I know that in Europe, I've done a lot of talks in Europe, and most people are very, very skeptical and scared about having skin tone ink in their skin, which is completely understandable. So how about those people who doesn't want to get ink, right? There's another solution, and this is the newest treatment in stretch mark. Unfortunately, though, we only do it for stretch mark as we speak, but later, eventually, we'll be doing it also for surgical scar. But as of now, it's only for stretch mark. And this is the best treatment in the market that you can find that really, really works for stretch mark without using any crazy laser procedure, without using any ink, and it's just revolutionary. And we call it the Inkless Stretch Mark Revision, or ISR. What is ISR? ISR is a stretch mark treatment that uses a tattoo machine to create micro damage on the skin. But instead of using pigment, we use a serum. Hence, it's called inkless. How much can you earn with ISR? We charge a minimum of 600 euros to 1,000 euros per treatment per area. So let's say you have a client, it depends on where you're from, but we don't charge less than 600 because, again, you're offering something that works and only you can offer. So you don't have to, you don't have to lower your price on this one. But of course, at the end of the day, it's still up to you. But here in the US, the lowest that we charge is $600. The highest is $1,000 per treatment per area. So one client a day, let's say $600, you get one client a day for 5 weeks, 5 times a week, it's $3,000. Annual potential is 156 euros. Just doing one client a day of ISR. Imagine, on top of what you're already earning. Not bad, right? So you might be asking, well, Bianca, that's if I get 600 at one client a day, but what if I don't? I don't think that's a problem because, again, you already have your clientele who trusts you, who believes in you, who supports you, who goes to you for their microblading, for their lips, for their eyeliner. They already trust you and they already go to you. So all you have to do is when they're laying down in your massage table is to tell them that, hey, I have a new treatment. It's good for stretch mark. And 90% of those people have stretch mark according to studies, according to survey, and also most of them are looking for a treatment for this. So it's not going to be hard for you to have one client a day. There are 3 components for an effective ISR. Number 1 is the needling process. So a lot of people have done micro needling. and it's not really that effective. The reason for that is because the needles of micro needling is all spread apart. There are too many and they're all spread apart. So when you're micro needling a certain area for stretch mark, you're micro needling even the healthy part of the skin, and you're not putting enough trauma or enough damage or enough collagen activation on the stretch mark. So it's like hit or miss. So this is the reason why we use a tattoo machine, because we want to make sure that we only treat the stretch mark. We don't damage the healthy part of the skin. The second component that's very, very important is the serum. So even if you do dry needling using a tattoo machine on each individual stretch mark, if you don't have the right serum to back it up, it's not going to work. And the reason being is because the serum helps multiply the production of collagen, the elastin, and the melanin, of which leads to an improved texture and tone of the stretch marks, making them less visible. So what happens when we do the dry needling is that we're creating a minimal damage on the skin, not too much, not too shallow either, just enough damage to reactivate the collagen production of the skin. As most of us already know, when we do, let's say, microneedling or HIFU, all of these procedures, the idea behind is that you're creating micro damage on the skin to activate the collagen production so that the skin will look so much better when it heals. So that's what we're trying to do here. However, if you just do the treatment without the serum, the collagen production that is produced by the body is not enough. It doesn't suffice. It's not enough to treat the stretch mark. When you use the right serum, then you will be able to activate the melanin and the elastin and the collagen of the skin further, making sure that you get so much better result. So another thing, the third most important factor is the aftercare. This is very, very important because as the skin is healing, especially the first 72 hours, that is the most important part because that is when the collagen are being reproduced. And as the skin heals, then there is a lot more, that's when the skin needs more help, basically, to activate more collagen, to activate more melanin, to activate the elasticity of the skin. So if you don't have the proper aftercare, especially during the first 72 hours, it's not going to look as nice because you're lacking the required nutrition during the first 3 days of healing and also during like the first week, the second week. So the aftercare is very important to help boost the collagen production of the skin. So our aftercare is made up of 3 things. The first one is the antibacterial soap. It's up to your client or up to you what antibacterial soap you want them to use, but we formulated our own antibacterial soap that really helps on making sure the treated area is always cleansed, always sanitized, and it's not going to have any infection. Basically, we have to wash the area twice daily, morning and night, before we apply the healing oil. The healing oil is what will help the skin heal so much faster. In most cases, ISR takes 1 to 3 months to heal, but with our system and with our formulations, with our healing oil and with our serum, we can cut that down to a minimum of 3 days to 1 month. In most cases, it's 2 weeks time. So there's a drastic improvement between the Nue Conceal products for ISR and the regular ISR because the healing period takes so much less than the traditional ISR. So then you apply the healing oil, and then there is the regeneration cream. The regeneration cream will help reactivate the collagen. This is the most important one because this is the one that helps with the collagen production, the elastin, and the melanin. So all those 3 things help with the healing, like healing properly, and also with the making sure that you get the best result. So again, just a recap, there's 3 components in this procedure. The first one is the needling process. You need to have the right tool and the right technique of the needling. Second is the serum. You need to have the right serum that will give you the best result. And the third one is the aftercare. The aftercare is what will help your client heal so much faster with optimizing incredible result. So what is the difference between microneedling, camouflage tattooing, and ISR? Simple. Microneedling, you basically, same principle, you damage the area a little bit to activate the collagen. The problem again with that is that because the needles are so many and it's so spread apart, you're damaging even the healthy part of the skin. So when you do the microneedling, you will notice that the skin is having so much blood. And that is because, again, it's treating and targeting even the healthy part of the skin without putting enough attention on the stretch mark. So in the end, the collagens are confused because they don't know which really to target. So in the end, you're not going to have as better result as what is associated with ISR. With ISR, you can use still any magnum or flat needles, depending on how big the stretch mark. The bigger the stretch mark, the bigger or the more needle you need. The smaller the stretch mark, the smaller the needle you need. Magnum needle is my go-to needle again because it's just works amazing. So what kind of stretch marks can we treat? Both for camouflaging and for the inkless. So the stretch mark that is due to height or like genetics, like anything that looks like this or something like normal, stretch mark due to genetics. So this is also like when people have stretch mark because it's in their blood. And what you cannot treat, so basically any stretch mark that looks at that normal stretch mark you can treat, but what you cannot treat is a stretch mark that is due to medication or something that looks like this. This, I got this from the internet. This is a kind of stretch mark that some people get after a certain medication. Some people have a condition, a health condition, and they're asked to take steroid medication. And steroids tend to lessen the elasticity of the skin, and that is why you can create this. I can have this kind of stretch mark. So when you see this kind of stretch mark, absolutely you cannot treat them. What needle to use? Again, needles used should be chosen based on the width of the stretch mark. The bigger the stretch mark, the bigger the needle you use. The thinner the stretch mark, the thinner the stretch mark you use. My go-to is Magnum 7M1 because it's the perfect size. It fits almost every stretch mark. And if I am not seeing, if it's too big, then I just adjust how I'm handling and how I'm holding my machine. Later, I will show you how I do that. So the bigger the stretch mark, the bigger the needle count. How deep should you penetrate the skin? This is another important factor because if you go too deep, you can create infection. If you go too shallow, it might not work, both for camouflage and also for ISR. So the minimum is 1 mm. The maximum is 2 mm. What I usually do is I go 1 mm first, and then I try to see how the skin is reacting. If after 3 passes, the skin is not having any reaction, it's not turning red, it's not swelling, then I would go deeper up to 2 mm. Most of the time, I end up using 2 mm. So this is a process. Let me show you how this is done. So first of all, I will clean the area properly. I'm using here a soap ink. You can use any isopropyl alcohol or alcohol gel. I don't like using the alcohol pads because they're so tiny. I want to cleanse the not just what I want to treat, but the surrounding area as well, because I don't want any germs going to the area I'm treating. So don't just cleanse the area you want to treat, cleanse the whole area. So this is our serum, the serum that we use. So I would just apply a tiny amount on my pigment cup, and then I can start the procedure. So I'm using 7M1, and usually I show my client my needle before I start the procedure. So this is the needle that I'm using. There you go. And then I'm going to start here. You just can't see it properly because it's a little bit blur, but I'm going to start with 1 mm and see how that works. The speed of your machine will depend on what machine you're using. Here, with my machine, I use anywhere between 6.5 to 7.5 speed. The idea here is that your machine should not be on the fastest, but it also should not be on the slowest. Should be somewhere in between. If it's too fast, then I'm gonna have too much trauma on the skin. If I'm using camouflage and it's too fast, then I'm gonna have too much pigment or lines of pigments on the skin. I don't want that. So if I'm too slow, then it's gonna take me a long time to finish the treatment. So just somewhere in between on your machine. So now, as you can see here, I'm creating 4 inklets. It's very simple. You should just be creating either tiny circles or a zigzag. The zigzags, though, should never be done in camouflaging. In camouflage, you can go like straight line, or do a little bit of like a straight line, but do a little bit of shaking of the fingers, but not a complete zigzag. You only do the zigzag when you're working on it without the ink. So as you can see here, the stretch mark is already swelling and turning a little bit of pink. That's what I want to see. I want to see that this is happening, because that means that I'm creating the minute trauma on the skin, and it's just looking, that's how you want to happen. If you're not seeing that, then that means you have to go a little bit deeper. I will do anywhere between 1 to 3 passes. If I don't see it in 1 pass, then I would go another pass and then a 3rd pass. So you also have to make sure that you're holding your machine properly. Okay, let me forward this. And then as you can see, I am adjusting how I'm holding my machine depending on the width of the stretch mark. So if the stretch mark is wide, then I would go, I would hold my machine like this. If the stretch mark is getting thinner, I will adjust it like this, so that I can still only treat the stretch mark and not go beyond the boundary of the stretch mark. Same goes with camouflage tattooing. So again, just tiny zigzag. And I don't, as you notice, I am not stretching the skin. I am just pushing the skin, but I'm not stretching it. The reason being is because if you stretch the skin, it's going to be hard for you to see the stretch marks. If you're just pressing on the skin, you will make the skin stable, but you're not going to stretch it. So if you notice there, let me just rewind this. I kind of adjusted how, so from here, let me show you, I will adjust how I'm holding my machine. Okay, I turned it a little because I don't want to go beyond the boundary of the stretch mark. I only want to do the stretch marks. So now that I finished all the stretch marks, as you can see, it's a little bit swollen, it's a little bit pink. That's what I want to happen. It's not too bloody. I'm not seeing any blood. It's not too red. It's just the perfect blend of swelling and also redness or pinkish. So now that I'm finished, I can then apply or pour in some of the serum, just so the stretch mark will absorb the serum further. So, or you can just pour in the serum again. So in this particular model, we actually did an experiment because we noticed that not every country and not every state will allow the artist to tattoo directly, let me just pause this a little bit, to tattoo directly the serum on the skin. So if your country or state or county or your area does not allow you to tattoo the skin with the serum directly, what you can do is to dry needle first. So here I am creating the trauma, but without the serum yet. I am not using the serum yet. I'm just creating here tiny zigzags. You can even just do a straight line like that, making sure that I go through each and every stretch mark. I am not missing any part of the stretch mark. I'm going through all the areas of the stretch marks. So here, as you can see, tiny little zigzags, just making sure that I'm going through each individual stretch mark. If you will notice here, the area that I'm treating is not swelling. It's turning a little bit of red, but it's not swelling. That is the reaction of just dry needling the skin. You are not getting the swelling until maybe later. So as you can see, it's red, but I'm not experiencing any much swelling. If you compare it to the other side, to the right side, there is a big difference because the right side is less red, it's swollen, and it's pinkish. So that is the difference when you do the dry needling first and with the serum. So as you can see, there's a big difference here. After you do the dry needling, then you can pour the serum on the skin where you dry needled. Okay, so just showing you the difference. And now, oops. And now here I am pouring the serum all over the area that I treated. And I'm going to leave that for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, even 10 minutes will also do. Now, this is an additional technique that you can do for your clients, is to put them on an LED light. So if you have the LED already in your clinic, then you can also add this because it will help absorb the serum. It also helps for inflammation and reactivation of the collagen. So I have an artist, I have a trainer from Australia, and she does this 4 days before the treatment. She asked the client to come in 4 days before, and then she puts the area she want to treat on an LED light for at least 15 minutes. That is just to prepare the skin. Now you can do that, or what other artists do to save time is they do the LED immediately after the treatment. Both, I would say you can do, of course. A lot of people are doing that. So you can use any red LED light or yellow LED light. Both of them are really good for any inflammation, so that it will subside the inflammation and also reactivation of the collagen. So you will get better result if you do this. Okay, and just keep it for like 5 to 10 minutes. And then after that, you can wrap it with this wrap. I don't personally like using the wrap that has adhesive. I'm not sure what it's called, but it's like a medical adhesive, or the ones that they use for tattooing. The reason why I don't like using that is because I notice that my clients have a hard time taking it off when they get home. And sometimes it peels off even the skin. So it can make the skin damage. It can make the skin turn a little dark. So just to avoid doing that, just use the regular wrap, clean wrap. And also, the reason why I'm doing this is because I want the serum to be absorbed by the skin. So you can even put more serum before you apply this wrap. I don't want her clothing, when she put on her clothing, I don't want her clothing to absorb the serum out of her skin. So that's why I'm doing this. When she gets home, she can take it off, and then she can start applying the aftercare. So this is the before and after. So as you can see, this is the before. Don't forget that on the right side, we did the treatment, the tattooing immediately after with the serum, or immediately with the serum and combination, right? On the left side, we did the dry needling first without the serum, and then we poured the serum after. So let's see if there was any difference. This is what happened after. So as you can see, the right side, this is just 4 days after the treatment. 4 days. That's honestly record breaking, because most of the time, again, for ISR, it takes 1 month to 3 months to heal. But because of our serum and our aftercare, we managed to get this result in just 4 days. Of course, that's not going to be the case for everybody. It still depends on how deep the area is, how deep you went onto the skin, and also how her skin is responding to the treatment. But maximum usually is 1 month. On average, is about 2 weeks. So, oops. Okay, I kind of, let me kind of, okay, so here are the after. As you can see, on the left area where we did the dry needling first, it kind of changed it kind of took a little longer to heal. As you can see, there's still a little bit of a darker areas. It's still like evident here. That means it's still healing. So the difference that we noticed is that when we needled the skin directly with the serum, it healed faster. When we needled and then we pour the serum after, it took a little bit of the healing period. But at the end of the day, they still had amazing result. So what serum should you use for this kind of treatment? So most of the time, people just mix their own serum. They buy over-the-counter serum, they mix it, and then they treat the client. The most common serum being used in the market is hyaluronic acid, vitamin C, vitamin A. That's completely up to you. That's to your own discretion. The problem, however, is every ISR artist mix their own serum using different over-the-counter skincare. So that is why ISR result is not the same for everybody, because it depends on the serum that they're using. Secondly, is that I'm probably the first person on earth to share what you can use for your serum, because most of the time people will not share that information, because again, it's intellectual property. Nobody wants to share what's in their serum, right? So nobody gives the ingredients of the serum. So that is kind of like a problem, because everybody are like, what are you putting on my skin, right? What if I'm allergic to one of those ingredients? So that can be a problem. And because you're using over-the-counter serum, the healing time can take longer, anywhere between 1 to 3 months. So our solution in Nue Conceal is creating our own, the first and only lab formulated medical grade serum is specifically formulated for ISR treatment. So this is the Nuclear, we call it Nuclear SR. So what is a nuclear serum? A medical grade lab made serum is specifically formulated for ISR. So again, we can't really blame any artist that uses over-the-counter serums, because back in the day, or like last year, there was no serum specifically formulated for this kind of treatment. But now there is. And the reason why we did this is because there is a big difference between over-the-counter and medical grade serum. Let me share with you what are those. First, over-the-counter serums are less potent. They are mass-produced to basically for any skin type, right? So they're not really meant for stretch marks. They're meant for, let's say, use hyaluronic acid. That's usually used for the face, just to, like for the wrinkles. And you have to use that continuously for a long period of time for it to become very effective, because it's less potent. Meanwhile, medical grade ingredients are more potent. That's why it's more effective, because it's more potent. Second, topical over-the-counter serums are only meant to be used topically. It's not meant to enter a wound. It should only be applied on the surface of the skin, on the top of the epidermis. So when you're working on a needling procedure and there's a damage there and you use over-the-counter serum, it's not made for that. That is why the healing takes so much longer, because the skin is not used to that. Like, what are you putting on my skin? You know, so it takes longer to heal. Meanwhile, our medical grade serum are made with ingredients that are specifically for the purpose of entering the deeper layer of the skin. The deeper layer of the skin on an open wound. And that is why it takes so much easier and faster to heal. So that is basically the biggest difference, because when you're using a medical grade ingredient, that will make the treated area work so much better. You get better result, and then it's penetrating the deeper layer of the skin. It heals faster, and most especially because it's made for that purpose, to enter an open wound, you are less likely to have any skin reaction, any negative skin reaction. So that is the best part. So the advantage of nuclear serum, our serum, is that it's lab formulated. So you can rest assured that the serum is safe for use, because you don't have to buy individual serums and mix them yourself. So you already have this formulated and ready for you. So it makes it safer for an open wound, and it heals so much faster. And you don't have to stress about, again, like creating your own serum or doing your own test, because even if you say you use hyaluronic acid, every brand has a different hyaluronic acid, right? There are a lot of different hyaluronic acid coming from different companies, and also different potencies, different like consistencies, right? So with us, we've already simplified everything for you. And the ingredients are also listed in our website. So you go to our website, once you start buying the treatment or the serum, everything is written there. So we're not scared. The reason why other people are scared, because they could get copied. We're not scared because we know that even if we give this ingredients, we make it in a different way that makes it more effective. And also I honestly cannot even pronounce the ingredients, because they're medical grade. So it's not just like saying hyaluronic acid, vitamin C. So it's much more complex than that. But yeah, that's something that you can also rest assured that you can, if your clients say, okay, what's in it that you're going to be giving me, give them the ingredients, so they can research for themselves and if they want to do the treatment or not. So here are some case studies. This is one of my client. This is after one session, healed result after one session. And this is after 2 sessions. So the number of sessions required for this kind of treatment is anywhere between 1 to 4. Sometimes you can get amazing result, even just 1 session after. So it depends on how deep the stretch marks and a lot of factors. So here, as you can see, this is after the 2nd session. I can still see a little bit of dark spots. She's still healing. This is just, I think, 2 weeks after the 2nd session. So she's still a little bit healing. But as you can see, there's already a big difference before the 1st session and after the 2nd session. It's honestly, I see this all the time and I'm also blown away. Like, we did that. So this is another client, just 1 session of nuclear serum and aftercare. Another client, just 1 session of nuclear serum and aftercare. Now, what I noticed is that when we treat the stretch marks on the booty, they get better result instantly. Like in 1 session, they heal and the result is incredible. And it's just so much faster to do the treatment with the butt area. So again, that area, if I do it, I probably see up to 80% result in just 1 session. If I do other parts of the body, let's say the belly is the one that can take a lot more sessions because it's usually the stretch marks are deeper. So immediately after the next day, it's going to look like this. This is completely normal. Again, you needled a damaged skin, so it's going to have a different reaction. It's not going to be reacting like how the brows will react when you do the brow treatment or the microbleeding. This is after, and then so as you can see here, it's a little bit red. Swelling will subside within 24 hours to 1 to 2 days, basically. And then it's gonna turn like this, a little bit brown after 72 hours. That's completely normal. Again, it's just the skin reacting and healing. After like 1 to 2 weeks, this is how it's going to be. It's already, you can see a little bit of the peeling, micro peeling. And then as you can see, it's not as brown anymore. And you will know if the treated area is completely healed based on how it looks. So if it's still a little bit brown, then that means it's still not completely healed. If you don't see any brown parts anymore, that means it's completely healed. And then you can do the second session. So as you can see, even here, you can barely see the stretch mark already. You can see that it's healing perfectly. So this is one client of mine, my favorite work. This is her 3 days after the treatment. As you can see, there's a little bit of redness. It's not swollen anymore. And this is her a week after. So this client healed incredibly well and really fast. That's just 1 week after. In fact, we only did this as a test on her because she wanted to do a test first before she go for the treatment. But even so, as you can see, there's a big difference there. And that actually, that particular client was so happy. She took my class and now she's also doing the treatment herself. And she just sent me a message the other day. She did her first model, and a week after, the stretch marks are 80% gone. So this is the client that I showed you earlier. As you can see here, there's still a little bit of darker parts. Here it's completely healed and you can barely see the stretch marks. One treatment alone. So why should you do these 2 treatments why should you add these 2 treatments into your list of services? Well, first, there's high client potential. Again, up to 90% of the adult population has stretch marks, and millions of people thus undergo surgical treatments every year. So you can just imagine how many potential clients. You will never run out of clients. And most of the time, people who have stretch marks and scars, they're really looking for, some people accepts it, some people loves it, some people are, and that's amazing. That's really kudos to those people that embraces their stretch mark, but not everybody feels the same way. Most people wants it gone. So you can just imagine the amount of people that you can get. Secondly, you already have the clientele that are looking for this kind of procedure. You don't even need to look for new people. You already have them laying in your massage table. So that's not going to be an issue for you. Thirdly, this is the next big thing. And trust me, when I started this years ago, I was the only one in my country offering this treatment, and I was charging to the roof. I started charging like $300 to $500, and then I got so busy that I was charging $500 to $2,000 per treatment per area. And I have the confidence to charge that much because it's effective. Everyone are just starting to jump into this new treatment. So this is the perfect time for you to also jump into this. So now it's time for question. But before that, if you guys want to follow us in our social media, here's the link to our Instagram account. We would be very, very happy to connect with you and to be a part of our community. And so just make sure to take a screenshot of this or scan this. And if you want to be a part of, if you want to be a part of our community for incoming students, please do join us in our Telegram. I just started this last week, but it's really great because you will, that's where we will be announcing any upcoming things or procedures or product that we have, or any freebie that we will give out in this Telegram. So please make sure to scan this one. And there you go. Any questions?
Thank you, Bianca. Thank you.
Grazie,
Thank
Bianca.
you.
Thank you for listening. I hope that wasn't boring.
No. It has been very exciting. Very, very exciting. Benedetta, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Very good. Now we are in the same room.
Oh.
Bianca,
Quindi,
please.
Bianca.
Some participants ask how to get your device, your pigments here in Italy, and if they are compliant in our country, in Italy and in Europe.
Yes. So can I send the link to the chat?
Yes. Thank you.
So I just added a link to the chat, so everybody can just click it. Let me just see if that works. Make sure it works. Yeah.
I
So
share with everyone.
directly from here. Okay.
I share with everyone. Here it is.
Oh, wait, let me.
Now we see.
So that is for.
Yes. Location is Italy. Yes.
Okay. And this is for the kit, if anybody wants to purchase the kit. And for our pigments, we have the CE certification for our pigment. We are still working on the reach because we did not prioritize that last time, because most of our clients, like 80% of our clients, are from the US, and we don't really have reach. But now we're getting more and more people from Europe who's really interested. So now we're applying for a reach, which we should be getting really soon.
Very good, very good. Thank you, Bianca. It has been very, very interesting. Your technology is amazing.
Thank
and
you.
I hope to see lots of devices here in Europe and in Italy market with your logo.
We pray for that. We pray for that.
And it is surprisingly easy to use. Very easy to use. Just one click, red click, and boom. Here it is.
Okay.
And right now we actually partnered with a lot of people that are already very, very well known in the industry. We partnered with people that already are trainers for camouflage tattooing, and they're offering this as an addition to their clientele, because it's really it saves a lot of time, and it really just works. So it makes sense for everybody to just like do it. And for people who are interested, let's say in private label, we also offer that for like pigments and stuff.
Very interesting. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. So yeah, that's it. I had so much. This is my first time doing a webinar. It's so much.
Thank you, Bianca, because of your participation, and because Nue Conceal is a platinum sponsor for PMO Skills. Me and Maria, we really appreciate your help to us. We thank you again for being sponsor in our organization. Thank you so much.
You have an amazing platform, and you, like, honestly, I always look at your Instagram, and it's very, very nicely done, professionally done. So thank you. You're also doing an amazing job.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.